As this puzzle comes to life, piece by piece, let me tell you a story about the sleepy cloud. A little cloud drifts too far and finds its way home. High above the rolling hills and winding rivers, there floated a very small, very soft little cloud named Nimbo. Nimbo was rounder than a pillow, fluffier than cotton, and lighter than the lightest feather. If you ever looked up on a sunny day and saw a tiny cloud shaped like a puff of whipped cream, it might have been him. But Nimbo had a little problem. He was always sleepy. When the other clouds raced across the sky, changing shapes into elephants, castles, or dragons for children to point and laugh at, Nimbo could hardly keep his eyes open. When the tall, proud storm clouds rumbled and flashed lightning to announce their arrival, Nimbo just yawned and snuggled into himself like a blanket. One bright morning, the sky was painted golden by the rising sun. Birds swooped and chirped, and the wind hummed softly as it rushed through the air. Nimbo tried his best to stay awake, but his eyelids grew heavy. "Stay close, little one," the wind whispered gently as it passed. "Don't drift too far." But Nimbo didn't hear. With a big yawn and a wiggle, he curled into a ball and dozed off. While he slept, the wind carried him farther and farther away from his family of clouds. They floated together high above the green fields, while poor Nimbo drifted lower and lower until the air grew warmer and the ground below looked strange. When Nimbo finally opened his eyes, he gasped. Instead of floating over his home sky, he was above a wide meadow where children were playing. He watched as they chased butterflies, rolled in the grass, and pointed up at him. "Look, a sleepy cloud," a little girl shouted. Nimbo puffed himself into funny shapes to make them giggle. First he became a sheep, then a balloon, then a crooked heart. The children clapped and laughed, and for a moment, Nimbo felt proud. But the wind shifted, and before long, the meadow was gone. The air grew hot and dry, and the green grass below faded into endless sand. Nimbo frowned as he floated over a vast desert. "Oh dear," he whispered. "This doesn't feel like home at all." The sun above beat down with blazing heat. The air shimmered, and his fluffy edges began to thin. Nimbo shivered, even though the desert was hot. "Where do I go? How do I find my family?" he asked. The desert wind roared, but it gave no answer. Just when Nimbo felt smaller than ever, a tiny voice called from below. It was a camel resting by a lonely palm tree. The camel tilted its head back and said, "Little cloud, follow the breeze. It always knows the way." So Nimbo listened carefully. At first, all he heard was the rush of hot desert air. But then, faintly, he caught the sound of a cooler breeze calling from the west. "I must be brave," Nimbo told himself. "If I follow that breeze, maybe I'll find home." The journey was long. The sun seemed determined to melt him into nothing. Sometimes Nimbo felt so thin he thought he might disappear. But just when he wanted to give up, he remembered the children laughing in the meadow. He remembered his cloud family waiting somewhere above the fields and rivers. And so he whispered, "I mustn't give up. I will find them." At last, after what felt like forever, the golden sand below gave way to green once again. Nimbo felt stronger as the cool air filled him, puffing him back into his soft round shape. Below, he saw sparkling rivers twisting like silver ribbons. Birds soared joyfully beside him, and Nimbo giggled when one perched playfully on his fluffy edge before flying off again. Soon, he spotted a hilltop where children were flying kites. The kites danced through the air, tugging at their strings. One kite brushed against Nimbo and tickled him so much that he burst into a gentle shower of raindrops. "Rain, rain, The children cried happily, stomping in the puddles that began to form. Nimbo laughed. He hadn't even meant to rain, but it made the children smile, and that made him feel warm inside. After the kites, Nimbo floated higher and higher, following the gentle pull of the west wind. The sky turned softer, and then his heart leapt. There they were, his family of clouds. Big fluffy ones like mountains, thin wispy ones like scarves. And in the middle, his brothers and sisters, round and soft like him. They waved their puffy arms when they saw him coming. "Nimbo," they cried. "Where have you been?" "I drifted too far," Nimbo admitted shyly. "I thought I was just napping, but I lost my way. I got thin and small in the desert, and I thought I'd never make it back." The biggest cloud, round and strong like a blanket, wrapped Nimbo close and said, "Oh, little one, even the sleepiest clouds can find their way home. But remember, stay close, for even dreams are sweeter when shared." Nimbo snuggled into the safety of his family. He felt safe, loved, and warm. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, painting the sky pink and orange, the clouds glowed together like lanterns in the sky. That night, the children below looked up and saw a small cloud glowing beside his family. He was still the sleepiest cloud in the sky, but now he never drifted too far again, just like this puzzle, piece by piece. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me again for more adventures.